This film is very rough, but it is what it is. After all, it's over 75 years old and filmed during the Second World War. This movie was made by my Oom Wim and focuses mainly on his family. However, my father, mother, and maternal grandmother can be seen in this film. I don't know who those people are, but they sure look like a fun bunch, don't they? This is The Hague, Netherlands. See that German soldier walking by? Holland was occupied at this time. And this is the Korte Pote, another German soldier on a horse. This is the street on which my grandfather's art gallery or Kunsthandel was located. After his death, my Uncle Wim took over the store and turned it into a successful high-end art gallery. You can see the people looking in the window. Now, my aunt's brother was a photographer and he had just got a new camera. So they decided to make a movie. This is my father, Peter Howitt. He's pretending to be a customer and he's talking to my Oom Wim's assistant. He's trying to pick out a new painting for his house. Uncle Wim working in his office. Oh, that's a very nice painting. Yep, I like that. Dutch scene. It's funny. I remember seeing many of these paintings in my aunt's house in San Francisco. My father makes a very good customer. He's also a good actor. Oom Wim trying to talk him into a purchase. I thought, yeah, I'll take that one. Oh, very good, sir. I like the way my uncle gives his helper the eye, and there goes my father. Well, unfortunately, that's the last we see of him in this movie. My dad, that is. Oom Wim now is got to do his books, record the sale, make a few phone calls, and look busy. Oh man, he's working hard. I can see that. Do you think this is really how they measured for a picture frame? I don't think so. Oh, more calls. Oh, he is pooped. Whew. Thinking of his chair at home. Oom Wim lived in the suburbs of Den Haag, in Voorburg, which isn't too far away. Time to go home. And out on the street he goes. One last look at the window. Yep, everything looks great. And away he goes. You have to admit, pretty dapper man. Couple more German soldiers walking down the road. Man, he's on a mission. As you can see, there wasn't too much automobile traffic. A lot of pedestrians, though, and horses. It amazes me that in the 40s they still use horses for carrying loads and general purpose moving of things. My uncle going to the tram, Voorburg, and there he is. I like the way he got on that car just in time. Now this looks like a long way, but it isn't. I don't think it's more than 4 or 5 miles at the most. I know the first time I went back and saw all these places, I was surprised at how small everything was. Everything was relatively close together. But look at the people with the horse-drawn carriages and the man-powered carriages. Now this is a pretty nice neighborhood, and Oom Wim lived in a relatively large house, especially for the Netherlands, out in the country. Had a couple of goats, cow, a few of the neighbors cruising down the road. Wouldn't be Holland without a cow. Good looking cow too. This was the little sloat, or what you call a little canal behind his house. And of course, there are always bridges in the Netherlands. So if you miss the bridge, just like in Grand Haven, you have to wait. Oom Wim smoking a cigar as usual, waiting for the freight boats to go through, and down comes the bridge, and there you go. This was the street on which he lived, Park Leeuwenberg. Coming to his house. Now that looks like a gigantic house, but when we went back, it turned out to be what they call a villa, which is a duplex, and he had half of it. But again, by Dutch standard, this was a mansion. That's my Tante Corrie, a wonderful woman. I spent many happy hours with her in San Francisco because that's where the family moved when they left Holland. That's my oldest cousin, Else. She's a few years older than I am. And she's saying hi to her dad. And that's Steph, or Stephen. He's 5 days older than I am. It was funny. My mother and Tante Corrie had all their kids right around the same time, within weeks of each other. I mean, for 6 of them. Else was the only exception. She was born before I. But Steve and I are 5 days apart. And Peter and Joe were close. Ikie and Paolo were close. It was that was crazy. Steve and Else. Now there's a lot of eating in this video. This was during the war, and food was getting scarce. So if you were making a movie, you kind of wanted to show that you were doing all right and things were humming along. So you made a movie of yourself eating food, growing food, checking food. Else looking at I guess it's a gigantic cabbage. Oom Wim did have a garden at his house. Oh, that statue? That's a statue he had made, and it looks like Else. Else moved to San Francisco, and on her first trip back to the Netherlands, she went to that house, talked to the new owner, told her about the statue and bought it from her, and had it shipped to San Francisco. And it's still in their yard, some, 75 years later? Remarkable. More food. Tante Corrie. She was a good cook. But, it looks rather primitive there, doesn't it? I don't know if that was a gas stove or a wood burner. There's Oom Wim out in the garden. A lot of beans. I think Dutchies love string beans for sure. He looks good out there in a suit, smoking a cigar, picking vegetables. Quite enchanting. Else helping him get the tomatoes. Doing a good job there. Wow. I'm really glad that I saved this from VHS destruction. and got it into a digital format so that we could see it. Wow. It was a big day in the garden. Don't forget, this is occupied Holland. And to have food was great. Now, I got a feeling that these little rabbits here were not pets. They were lunch or dinner on special occasions. That's Steph and Else playing in the sandbox. Tante Corey and Oom Wim just relaxing in the garden. You gotta love the way he picks up his dog. Oh, wow. But they're just enjoying life. But unfortunately, things would not look so rosy in the years to come. Oh, Tante Corey rushing inside. Guess what? Time for dinner. Oh, Dutch staples, potatoes. Potatoes, a little meat. Steph and Else. Oh, this is very good, dear. Mmm, very nice. Mm. Oh, even had a glass of beer, I think. Not bad. And I saw some of those peas or beans, whatever they were, on the table. The water. My cousin Steve unfortunately had a stroke and died maybe when he was just around 70. Oh, we got to have a bathtub scene. I'm sure Elsa and Steve really enjoyed this. I get the feeling that Dutch kids don't like to get washed that much. I don't know. Oh, there we are. We're happy now. Yep, stick your tongue out, whole 9 yards. Play with the blocks, play with the dog. Hmm. Tante Corey and her oldest son. When I was a little kid, Tante Corey kind of scared me once in a while. But then when I got older, I found out just what a real great woman she was. She was very nice, very loving, and I miss her a lot. Uncle Wim, unfortunately, had a brain tumor when he was, probably in his mid 50s, and it did not work out well. He had an operation and he was bedridden for most of the rest of his life. Oh, bedtime. Oh, those Dutch stairs. Steep, narrow, and real killers. But when you got to go to bed, you got to go to bed. Tuck them in. Good night, Steph. Oh, say your prayers, and everything will be good. Yes, Daddy. Ga nou slapen. Oh, now for a little relaxation. A little cigar smoking. And they're sitting by the way window. Oh, Tante Corey is also an actress. Now, this woman coming is Tante Corey's sister. and they'd come over to shoot a little snooker or whatever this little billiards table is. When I see the paintings on the wall, I remember my aunt's house in San Francisco because they brought them along. Oh, and here we go. We have a little eating. See, things are good, even though it's wartime. Uncle Wim getting a little upset. Somebody disturbed his shot. Dang. So, put down that cigar. Yep, let's have a bite of whatever this is. Whatever it is, pretty good. Yep, I like it. Now this must be the warehouse. They're looking at paintings. Uncle Wim showing Tante Corey. Hey, look at that nice picture. And then I think he pulls out a nude. Uh-oh. Can't have that. And there's a little canary. They always had canary. And that's my cousin Paula. She's the same age as Ikie. And she's just happily sleeping in that cradle. Now, they brought that cradle with them when they moved to America. And all of the grandkids that they had slept in that cradle. Elsa's kids, Paula's kids. That was really a neat idea. I think they still have it. Probably Else does. I know that seeing my relatives is probably not as exciting for many of you as it is for me, but it is really cool. In a little while, my grandmother and my mother show up, and Peter shows up, and Ikie. So I'll try to point them out. Little Paula having a piece of Dutch toast, I would say. It's amazing. I look at these children and I see a resemblance to my own children and to my grandchildren, maybe even my great-grandchildren. There's definitely a family resemblance there. My cousin Steve and I looked a lot alike when we were small. I like that. Take a big spoon, get it wet, dip it in the sugar jar, and then lick the sugar off. Yep, I like it. Little pitter-patter of Dutch feet crawling all over the furniture. Looks good. I know I could edit this film, but I don't want to. I don't want to cut anything out. And there's little snippets that are just too good. Parents and kids are always parents and kids, aren't they? I always tell my children the best thing you can give a child is a happy childhood. And my parents and Uncle Wim and Tante Corey certainly did that for their children, even though it was during the Second World War. Amazing. Uncle Wim was, I should have told you this earlier, but he was my mother's younger brother. And they were tight. This is a street scene in The Hague. Few more cars on the road, few German soldiers wandering around. I don't think Dutchies like Germans very much. Bicycles. And we're back in the Court de Pote. That's the area of The Hague in which the art gallery was located. Still, horse-drawn carts to make deliveries, coal or what have you. And lots of people walking. We're back at Oom Wim's house. That's me. Yep, cute little kid. I told you me and Steve looked alike. There's Steve in his shorts. Now, a birthday party. Now, you won't believe this, but all these people who show up are my cousins. That's my grandmother, my mother's mother. You have to go back and take a look at this. But in any case, all of these kids are my cousins. Two of my aunts between them had almost 28 children. I mean, it was Catholicism run rampant. Hey, there's my mother carrying Ikie. She was in and out of there quick. More cousins. When we went to Holland in 1995, I met a lot of them for the first time. And this young woman walked up to me and said, "You don't remember me, but hey, that's me again." She said, "We spent a lot of time in bed together." But that was because I was a little kid, and so was she. That's one of my aunts. You know, I've got so many relatives, and unfortunately, I don't know them. And I think it would have been really great if I would have had that opportunity. Oh, this was big time. Don't forget, this was during the war. Go to Uncle Wim's house. That's my grandmother again. She was on the right, sitting with Tante Corey. There she is. Now, this sounds strange, but I remember my grandmother, when we'd visit her, she'd let me play with a box of buttons. And then when it was time to go, we'd have to kiss her goodbye, and she'd turn her cheek to us. And her cheek had a big mole on it with a couple of hairs growing out of it. And that's me again. But anyway, when I kissed her, you'd always kiss that mole. That was, it's kind of strange that that's how I remember my grandmother. But gosh, to see my grandmother, which is my children's great grandmother, and my grandchildren's great great grandmother, it's amazing. This is like hanging out my family tree. These are all my cousins, and that was me in the top hat. Again, if you got a reverse on your computer or whatnot, you can stop and take a look. Everybody's saying goodbye. I got a feeling that this was Steve's birthday, you know, because his birthday was August 8th, mine was August 13th. So the weather conditions look about right. And this probably would have been 43 or 44. I would venture to think 43 because 44, 45 were not happy days. And I don't think we would have looked this good. Uncle Wim also had some pigeons. And he also had some parrots. I'm surprised nobody stole those. And Steph must have loved those pants. I guess I would have too. Al, Steve, and Paula out for a walk. Now, Tante Corey wound up having 7 kids. My mother wound up having 6 kids. So, added to all those other cousins, our family tree is loaded. Just a walk in the wilds of Holland. Yep, goats. Get to feed those things. I vaguely remember doing that. And remember that creek or canal that was behind their house? Ikie fell into that once. We all thought she was going to drown or something, but Uncle Vin pulled her out. No harm, no foul. Holland, late summer, early fall. This is cute. Alice and Steve playing. Whenever I see this and I look at it, in a minute I keep saying, "Watch your fingers!" You know, they're playing with that drawer. But I know everything turned out all right because when he got older, he still had all his fingers. Just having a good time. Oh, watch your fingers. Oh, had a little pony. I got a feeling that maybe we might have eaten that horse in the years to come. Now, this is kind of fun. It's wintertime in Voorburg. Little snow, and I got a feeling that this is December 5th, 1943. And guess who comes or what happens on December 5th? Yep, you see all the kids are excited? Oh, we're going to sing. Tante Corey plays the piano a little. Ta-da, ta-da. And don't forget, time to eat. Oh, that sneaky guy. Paula. Guess what? Sinterklaas and Zwarte Piet are coming. So now you know why I get so excited. Hey, Zwarte Piet. Now this guy would either bring you some goodies or he would have a switch for you so that your parents could give you a couple of whacks. And if you were really bad, he put you in his sack and took you back to Spain with him. So you didn't want that. Looks like everybody got a whistle for Sinterklaas. Wow. I don't know what else got. Now you be good, says the good saint. Zwarte Piet doesn't look too scary in this one. Thank you, Zwarte Piet. Tot ziens. Dag. You didn't know that Sinterklaas comes from Spain, do you? He comes to Holland on a steamship, and he rides a horse around. Jumps on the roof, and Zwarte Piet delivers the gifts down the chimney. It's amazing. Oh, A little more eating. The creche scene. And Christmas carols, I think. Have a Christmas tree. See those stained glass windows back there? I think that Elf got those too. And we're singing Christmas carols. Now I have a feeling that this must be early 1944, just before things started to go bad. Just judging from how old Paula is, how old Steve is. Playing on the carpet. Oh, nice phonograph. I wonder what they're... Oh, be careful. Oh, nice scratch on the 78. Oh, an early party. Now there's me again. It's rather quick. And all the cousins showing up for another good day in Voorburg. Got to be the spring of 1944. So everybody's showing up in their finery because Uncle Wim always had some goodies and little gifts for the cousins. Now this was a big deal because, there's got to be like 35 or 40 of us. Holy mackerel. And a puppet show. It was Punch and Judy. I remember that. And that was Tante Shan, who was Tante Corey's sister, younger sister. And I think I saw Grandma sitting on a chair. But it was quick. Little Punch and Judy, Tante Corey. My other aunts were Tante Toos, Tante Annie, and Tante Sus. And I'm sure they're in there somewhere. That reminds me of Beth when I just see that image like that. That was Tante Sus. There's my grandmother again, sitting in a chair with a cup of tea. Girls are not supposed to sit like that. Well, what the heck? Everybody had, I don't think it was ice cream, must have been a piece of cake. And then everybody gets a little gift. And the puppet show. There's that fellow from the art gallery. Like I said, he worked for my uncle for a long time. They were loyal. All the cousins, aunts, and uncles playing Ring Around the Rosie and London Bridges falling down. Falling down, falling down, da, 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 falling down, my fair lady. Horseback riding. Dun, 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 dun. All my cousins. I know, I keep saying that. Hey, guess who that is? That's my grandmother again, standing in the window. And a little tiptoe through the tulips. I think that's where that came from. Steph playing with his train. Now, right at the end here, for just a second, is my brother Peter, and I'll point him out to you. Yep, that's Steve. But my brother Peter will be on the right-hand side of the screen. I think. Uncle Wim sleeping. Party's over. I think it was Steve's birthday. Yes, sir. I'm waiting for Peter. There's Steve. My grandmother in the background handing out some party favors. One for you, one for you. There's Peter. Did you miss him? You have to go back. He was on the right-hand side. By the grace of God and the love and care of my mother and father and all my relatives, we all made it through World War II. This film was made in 42 and 43 before things really got ugly. In late 1944 and especially 1945, they were very bad. The winter of 44-45 was called the Hunger Winter, and many in Holland starved to death. Although I was a small child, I can remember the falling bombs and the destroyed houses just a block away. Thank you, Mom and Pop, for keeping me, Peter, Ikie safe during those dangerous years.